My dear student, it is very much important to plan some of the basic questions. This is one of the most critical area of the interview preparation. So how you would plan basic questions and what kind of things you need to consider planning basic question, let's come and discuss. Planning basic questions, plan a handful of questions that will serve as the foundation for your interview. So your questions are actually the major foundation for an interview. If you don't have any question on your table, obviously you would not be able to conduct an interview in a best possible way. So the job description is an excellent starting point. Whatever question you want to ask, start from the job description. Because job description have mentioned the major duties and responsibilities, and these things you need to explore further. By reviewing the job description, you can easily identify what skills are required and then proceed to formulate the questions according to the skills requirement. You will need to ask in order to determine whether the applicant possesses these skills and are capable of performing the required duties and responsibilities. Why you want to identify the required skills? Those skills are required to perform the duties and responsibilities in a wonderful way. So if the person have a required skills, then obviously there are more chances to perform the duties and responsibilities in best possible way. So you need to explore it. Hypothetical situations can also be developed and presented to applicants, which gives them a chance to demonstrate their potential. So these situations can be created by the interviewer, but beforehand, not during the interview. You have to plan these situations, these hypothetical situations, and then you can probe questions according to these hypothetical situations. Be careful not to list too many questions or become very specific during this stage of preparation. Some people are trying to mention too many questions, dozens of questions, and those questions are very long. And then you try to start reading all those questions during the interview. So this is not a good way. Better to mention the question beforehand and then mention only half dozen of the questions so you can ask more specific questions and you can get better answers. Limit yourself to about a half dozen journal questions. Once you would get into the interview, the other question that need to be asked will follow as an offshoot of the applicant's answer. So these half dozens of questions are just the basic questions which you need to put. But out of these questions, once people would answer these questions, there would be a lot of offshoot questions which would come from the applicant answers. So don't worry, these half dozen of the questions are not only the half dozen of the question. It can be 1 dozen of the question when you would go for further probing and interviewing. And the applicant has handed your 4 valuable pieces of information worthy of exploration. For example, if you are interviewing a lady and she is saying her job requires dealing with variety of people and situation, you can ask further question on it, that what kind of dealing you are doing with variety of people and situation. And then number 2, she handles the customer hotline. This can be further probed, that what means by hotline. Number 3, she researches question. Yes, there can be a further question on just this particular answer. Researches questions, it is in inverted commas. And number 4, she processes complaints. So researches, processes, and then hotlines. There could be a further offshoot question from these 4 answers. Some additional question you can ask, what is the nature of some of the situation with which you are asked to deal? Just look at the previous 4 questions, but this question is different. This question is more detailed. In this question, you are asking about the nature of some of the situation. So to explain nature is more exploratory. Then who are the people who call you? I mean, to what kind of people you are calling you? What is the process that someone with a complaint is supposed to follow? If someone is complaining, what kind of a standard operating procedures are the processes you are following? Number 4, what is your role in this process? If that process has been followed, what would be your specific role? So that role and that role in that particular process is very critical in asking for the interview. So number 5, exactly what the customer hotline is. So this question is also very much specific. She mentioned only the word hotline, But you are more specific, and you are asking, what is the customer hotline? Then number 6, what do you do when a customer is not satisfied with the answer you are given him? Give me a specific example of when this has happened. So you are further probing the question, which were quite basic. And tell me about a time when a customer was extremely angry. If your customer would angry, you are just giving a situation, you are just posing a situation, and you can ask that what would happen if some customers would get angry. So this response would be very much helpful to select the candidate. And number 8, describe a situation in which a customer repeatedly called, reclaiming his problem and still not being resolved. How did you handle it? For example, if someone is a tough customer, someone is a difficult customer, and he was telling you about some of the critical situation, how would you handle most difficult customers? So you can get a lot of insight about handling the difficult questions, difficult customers while asking such kind of questions. And number 9, how much of your time is devoted for researching questions? So the time in researching question is also important. And there are just some of the questions triggered by the applicant's response to one broad open-ended question. So always ask open-ended questions, and through one broad open-ended question, you can get number of small questions, and you would get number of answers, and then you have to note those answers as well. So this single open-ended question is so comprehensive that it alone could suffice as the only prepared question you have before beginning the interview. So if you would have one comprehensive, open-ended, broad questions, you can start your interview, and that would be very much helpful to conduct your interview in an effective way.